In this video, we'll look at 10 ways in which you and your gear could earn you extra income. As always, if you're doing something we haven't mentioned in this video, then please leave us a comment down below and share what works for you. First up, producing music for video, and specifically content creators. This used to be called library music, originally for use on television shows, but with the rise of social media networks, creators on these modern platforms are creating far more content than the TV networks ever could, and with 500 hours of video a minute being uploaded to YouTube alone, it's a thriving market. There are many of these library services available for content creators: Epidemic Sound, Storyblocks, Soundstripe, and Artlist, to name a few, with companies like Audio Network specializing in more terrestrial TV broadcasting, radio, cinema, and other media formats. Companies such as Audio Machine produce much of the music often used in film trailers, such as those for the James Bond series, so the chance to land something big is always out there. It is a hard industry to establish yourself in, and you'll need to produce a large quantity of quality material, but if you can get your foot in the door, then there is some decent money to be made. One thing to consider is that this type of music doesn't usually need to conform to the standard verse-chorus song structure. In fact, more often than not, it might not even need a melody, but instead plenty of space to allow the video to breathe. Listen to the intro song on our standing desk video for a great example of this.
While we're on the subject of content creation, become a content creator. We ourselves started this very YouTube channel back in March of 2020, mainly to keep ourselves occupied during the first UK lockdown, and financially it went really well. Here's our first 6 months of AdSense revenue. And here's our total in the lifetime of the channel in affiliate links. Okay, so we're not doing that well, but it is growing, and we've discovered that we enjoy making video content just as much as we enjoy making music. And once you've grown an audience, there are other opportunities for monetization, such as brand deals, which we haven't really done any of. Selling digital products such as online courses or sample packs, which we haven't done any of. Fracking in the car park, and offering your own services such as, in my case, mastering, which I have done a ton of, so check the link in the description for a free test master. Although I am massively behind, so I'm going to go and do some work and hand over to James for the rest of this video.
There's also opportunity to sell your knowledge, even without an audience on a platform such as this. If there's something you're really good at, then the chances are there will be people out there who want to learn how to do it. So selling your own course or utilizing a third-party service such as Skillshare can be a good revenue stream to explore. Remixing. This is something that Mark really enjoys and can be a very good source of income. Often he'll strip a track back to the bare bones vocal and see what inspiration strikes, often change the tempo, sometimes the key, and build a new track from the ground up around the vocal part. And sometimes he'll use some, if not all, of the existing instruments. The key thing is that he's remixing a song. He doesn't have to write it, and that makes good financial sense in terms of a fee. The label will have already released the song, and if they want a remix, that means it's probably doing reasonably well, so fans of the artist are likely to want the remix as well, and you can negotiate a fee accordingly. As with anything, it's important to carve out a niche for yourself and specialize in a specific genre or type of remix and become known for that. But it can be a very lucrative business, and you can even negotiate a royalty in many situations too. Number 4 has a very physical, community-based approach. Do you live in an area which is deprived of music venues and other musical services such as a music school? You could be the person to bring music education to your local area, and you needn't spend a penny. Funding is available from organisations such as the Arts Council and Lottery Fund in the UK, and they often reward grants to businesses or charities which are deemed to have a positive influence on the local community. If you can put together a solid business plan for creating a music school in your local area, including everything from the target market to who you'll get to tutor them, then you could be ticking some very important boxes for many local authorities. Of course, this does depend on the willingness of your local council to actually look into improving the local area with fantastic new projects like this, and not just build yet another supermarket 15 metres from the 6 of them already on the high street. But it's worth looking into if you're the right kind of person and your aim is actually to help the local community and not just gear yourself up towards funding. We know many people that work in charities and organisations such as this and have worked and volunteered for many ourselves, and it can be hugely rewarding. Do you find yourself with lots of hardware sitting in your studio but not enough time to play with it, or you just have no real need for it? Well, don't sell it just yet. Think about renting it out. There are 2 ways you could go about this. If there's a thriving music production community in your local area, you can either physically hire the hardware to a customer to take to their own studio, or they can come to your studio to use the hardware and you don't even have to travel anywhere. If you're less of a sociable type and prefer just operating online, then you could offer something like the service provided by Access Analog, albeit in a manually operated way, and customers can send you their audio via file transfer for you to run through your hardware to give it the analog flavour, then send it back for a fee. Although there are options online for this that are relatively cheap, meaning you probably couldn't earn a lot, it could be a decent possibility if you have enough hardware to rent out en masse. If you can hear crackling in the background, it's the cat eating his dinner. With the rebirth of live audio, thanks to society opening up again, live music is well on the road to recovery. I actually quite enjoy mixing live music, mainly because it's loud and it's good fun, and because mixing the band is a performance in itself. Whether it's small local venues or joining a larger live music production business such as Fly By Night, selling yourself as a skilled sound engineer could generate good income. Yes, there is indeed more pressure as a live sound engineer, as you often have to dial in a mixed sound much faster than you would in the studio, but that's where the fun lies. It's a challenge and often a really fun one. For number 7, Foley and sound effects. Watching Squid Game on Netflix in English? Many don't realise that pretty much every sound you're hearing has been added in post-production, or you'd hear the original Korean actors under the overdubbed voice actors. But on a much smaller scale, we use sound effects all the time in our videos, as do the majority of content creators. Every time something pops up onto the screen, there's a sound effect. Anytime text is typed onto the screen, there's a sound effect. Anytime I need something to be dramatic, you guessed it, there's a sound effect. Creating these can be enormous fun, and it can be something as simple as taking a cup out of a cupboard or closing a fridge door. All you need is a decent microphone and a portable field recorder, and you can create sounds and Foley effects with only the most basic of editing skills. And it might inspire you in your music creation as well. Selling yourself as a freelance producer or engineer is a hard task, but thankfully services exist online to give you that platform needed to get some work. Although there are many out there, Fiverr and Upwork are 2 of the largest. Despite Fiverr's name and how it used to operate, in which everything on the service only cost a $5, now you can charge higher prices to earn a decent income from the amount of time spent on each project.
It's pro-level pricing, professional level pricing. It's pro-level pricing.
I know of certain producers who work solely on Upwork and get their entire earnings from that site alone, so the possibility for earning a decent income this way is entirely there. Don't forget to market yourself in a niche and focus on that. It's far easier to appeal to a small group of people than it is to everyone, and just beware that sites like Fiverr can often be a race to the bottom in terms of pricing, so don't fall into that trap. Cheap pricing attracts cheap clients. Don't forget about the corporate world. Although it may not be everybody's cup of tea, there's some very good money in the corporate AV world. Even something as simple as a small PA system and a few lights can lead to 4 figures of income if you market your services correctly. Pre-pandemic, Mark and myself provided AV for a number of events companies, ranging from setting up PAs in luxury airport private lounges to private functions in fields. If you own high-end kit and don't mind a bit of travelling, it could easily be paired with a live PA system and get you out on the road, and corporate clients often have far higher budgets than artistic ones for events. Finally, podcasting is currently experiencing a huge boom in popularity for content creators and businesses alike. The only issue is that, particularly in the business world, not many corporate podcasters know much about audio tech. So that's where you come in. Something as simple as educating them on the best type of microphone to use for their podcasts, for example using a cardioid dynamic microphone in a less than ideal room to capture as little room reverb as possible, to using something like Isotope D reverb to remove any room sounds that the microphone choice missed, and using a 32-bit recording interface so that the client can stick to what they know best and not have to mess around with preamp gain. You can also make the most of your skills in the podcasting post-production stage. Editing content for podcasts can be relatively easy, and you can charge a healthy amount if working with larger corporate businesses, charge extra for licensed music to be used, and so on. I would imagine the podcasting trend will stay around for quite a while to come, so setting yourself up in this area could be a great option. And if all else fails, remember, you can always become a flopcat stroking engineer. Hello, Floppy.